Hi, I'm Drew here in Oaxaca, and my monthly budget is $700.
Hey Jen, Max, Brighton here. You just met Drew, and Drew is someone that I met, I think, in one of the expat Facebook groups, and he has a really small budget. He does own his own home here, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but we'll also talk about what rent would be on top of that monthly budget, because he mentioned he has a friend who just rented a home here, and we're going to use that person kind of as a proxy. We're also going to talk about why Drew's budget needs to be at that level. And yeah, I think that might be inspirational for some of you. Some of you might just be like, you know what, I just need that budget just because that's what I can afford. So let's dig into Drew's budget first. You know what? No, let's dig into Drew's story first, and then we're going to go into his budget.
I began my work here in Oaxaca City in 2008, and I just fell in love with the area. I started working with orphans and disadvantaged youth, and so I was really motivated to move here. So I founded a nonprofit in the United States and came here to live here full-time on a tourist visa in 2016. Came here with one lump sum, no salary, no one hiring me, no one pushing me to live here. I came here because of my dream to serve the youth and that demographic of kids that needed support to stay in school. And so immediately in 2016, I bought land. And with that sum of money, I built a house that was done by the spring of 2017. And so then I moved in, and so I could live for free. So part of the reason I can live so well here on the $700 a month is because I built my house. And so a lot of foreigners can live here very, very economically. I wouldn't be scared about moving to Mexico because of prices, but you kind of have to know your area and what you're getting into. This is in my opinion, this is a very affordable area. So I built the house. I can live on $700 a month, and it's kind of a low budget compared to most people's lifestyle, but I'm not retired yet, and I work for a nonprofit. So I could only garner a small amount of salary from the nonprofit of the United States. And that $700 here goes a long, long way. Of course, if you had to pay for rent, that might be, $500 or whatever. For example, I have a good friend here in the city, and she just scored a 2-bedroom apartment, 1 bath, newly renovated, brand new, beautiful neighborhood. She pays $350 a month. That's her rent. It's gorgeous. That's not unique or strange. When people live here, they create a network of friends or meeting locals. It's kind of easy after a while, to meet someone that says, oh, my uncle has 3 rooms coming available in a few weeks, or my mom has a couple rooms for rent. And so by word of mouth, it's easy to find good deals. I wouldn't get discouraged about what people see on the internet. Quite often, they are people posting on the internet because they're looking for someone who does not know the local average price. The local average price compared to US standards is pretty economical.
Yeah, the pricing here in Oaxaca, as Drew said, you can look on the internet and you can go to those Facebook groups and you can find prices that are much, much higher, but still pretty affordable, $1,000, maybe $1,500 or something. You might be able to find a place like for that. But when you're here and you got your feet on the ground, I've got another video up here about going in La Paz and finding good deals on rent, and pretty much you got to be there. That's just how you, as Drew mentioned, you have to have a network and you have to kind of know some people, and then you're going to get exposed to some of those better deals. They're going to be unfurnished, and they're going to be long-term leases. That's the other thing to think about, is some people are like, oh, well, Airbnb is so expensive. It's like, well, you're getting a furnished place, concierge type experience, and a very short-term rental. So remember to think about that. And also, we are in Oaxaca, and Oaxaca is probably more of a real Mexican place than any of the other places that I have shown on this channel. So a lot of the other places are, there's a lot more foreigners living there. And so they kind of drive up the price, or we kind of drive up the prices. But let's go maybe and ask Drew if he can dig a little bit into his budget specifically, if he can break that $700 down, and so that you guys get a better idea of where that money is going and how often he's going out and, partying on the town versus how often he's at home making some beans and rice.
So of the $700 a month, it covers much more than what you could even dream of paying in California. For context, I'm from California, so that's what I thought was normal, but no. Here from the $700, my monthly internet is 15 US dollars. Uh-huh. My cell phone package deal for a smartphone and regular service is $10 a month. My electricity runs about $5 or $6 US per month. Of course, I'm paying in pesos, but I'm converting it for you. And so for water and gas, I only buy a gas tank, a refill propane tank, every 9 months, and that's 45 US dollars. I'm serious. You can't make this up. It's hysterical to me. But then the water is only about $10 or $20 US a month. And so I live I would say I live kind of spartanly, because from that 700, I also want to use some of the money to continue to upgrade my house. So, 20 to 50 bucks a month is going to be used for gas for the car. And then the rest of the money is for the house, as well as socializing and buying groceries. Groceries are pretty cheap if you eat healthy food and simple food. I don't eat lots of processed foods. So if I'm spending $5 or $10 at a time at my local markets, I'm getting fresh foods, never been shipped, more than likely or not, they're organic. And so I don't make a big deal about that, but I'm eating really, really healthfully for cheap compared to in San Diego or when I'm in New York. I start having chest pains because of the price of the groceries. Here, no. I can spend 20 or 30 bucks on groceries and eat for a week. And that's amazing. That's amazing. So it kind of depends on your lifestyle, what your food preferences are. But if you are on a budget, I'm pretty sure that you can live within your means. I go out to eat about 2 or 3 times a week. By out to eat, I mean like in a restaurant where you have chairs and flatware and a regular restaurant. I do eat out of the house more frequently at places in my town, because I live in the suburbs, places that are like taco shops or small mom and pop places. And so I do that another 3 or 4 times a week. But those prices are so economical because they're not places where foreigners go. They're in the suburbs, they're mom and pop small restaurants with maybe 3 or 4 tables, 5 or 6 tables, and I'm paying 3 or 4 US dollars for my dinner, or $2 or $3 for lunch. And so if you want to spend much more, you can, but if one is considering budget and health and a proper diet, you can get by like I've done, $4 or $5, and you have a perfectly normal, healthy, and fresh meal, and you're satisfied.
So just last night, I actually had a meal for about $6. It was some pozole, and I think I had a Coke with it or something like that. And this pozole was just amazing. I never liked pozole in the past. I think you probably might have seen another video where I talked about not liking mole in the past until I got to Oaxaca and realized what mole is. And same thing with pozole. I never liked pozole in the past. And now I'm like, oh my God, pozole. So like when it's done really well. And it was in one of those mom and pop shops. And there's something inside me that really hates incandescent white lights, like those big tube lights. I hate seeing a restaurant that looks like that, but now I've realized, I think my wife Kat pointed this out, that is a sign that you're gonna have a really good meal at a really good price, because, for the most part, a lot of gringos are going to just look past that place because it doesn't have the ambiance that we're normally looking for. But it's pretty much just a blaring sign that this is a place that's geared towards the locals, and you're gonna get some really good food at a really good price. So just wanted to add that there. So let's go ahead and dig into more of the why here. So why, what is Drew doing what is his nonprofit doing to support the locals? Because this is something else that we need to think about as foreigners who are living in this country, is that we do have an impact on the locals here, and we should be giving back in any way that is possible, whatever is the right thing for you. So let's hear about that.
As I mentioned earlier, I moved here because I did fall in love with the local culture and the people. And my passion was for helping youth stay in school, and for youth from especially disadvantaged families to stay in school and get a college or university education. For me, I felt like that was the key in my life that changed the complete trajectory of my life, was a university education. So when I fell in love with helping local kids and seeing that so many of them didn't know where they came from or had parents that lived in kind of a cashless society in the mountains or rural areas, I knew that one of the best things I could do with the next 30 years of my life was help them get an education and get the empowerment, the personal self-esteem to stay in school and say, I can do this. I can overcome my disadvantaged background and my family limitations. I can fit into the modern world if I have an education and especially learn to believe in myself. So that's what I fell in love with. That's why I moved here. I gave up a comfortable lifestyle in the north to live here. So yes, I live simply, but I love what I do and I go to sleep with a smile on my face. And so we founded Casa de Kids in the United States. That's the organization named Casa de Kids. And that's what we do. And so it has really, really energized me since 2015 when I came here, decided to come here. And after 2017, after all these years now, we have over 20 college or university graduates. So now we have 30 students, 20 graduates from university. They've broken those cycles of lack of education, broken cycles of poverty. And so could I live more comfortably somewhere else? Yeah. Do I love what I'm doing? Yes. Am I writing my own schedule and setting my goals? Yes. And so thanks to Casa de Kids and all of the supporters in the United States, we've created a nonprofit here in Mexico. It's the counterpart. So the mother organization is in the United States. And now we have a legal Mexican nonprofit to expedite the work here. So we can own property, we can do things legally, have a bank account, etc. But now every year we have more and more means to help the kids and to expand what we offer. So that thrills me to no end. And you can see more details at casadekids.org. That's the website, casadekids.org, and learn more about this amazing culture and assisting a lot of younger people from rural areas that normally would not have a chance to fit into the modern world.
So you can also donate at that website. So we're gonna see if we can break it down by child, like, what is a, say, $100 donation do or something. So Drew, why don't you think about that while I'm talking here? And also, I want to talk about the fact that there is a cross in the background. We are meeting in a very small church. This is where Drew has his office. So I want to kind of see if this is a religious thing or not.
How exciting is this? So yes, the Episcopal Church donated space for us to utilize here, but we are a non-profit, non-religious program. So it's non-religious, but thanks to the generosity of other people, they've saved us thousands and thousands of dollars by allowing us to meet here when we need an office or a gathering place. So for $100 a month, that would help pay someone's tuition as well as their transportation and their miscellaneous costs like their uniforms, which are required, as well as books. $100 goes a long way. And if it's hard to get your mind around that, I will tell you the reality of it. Our budget, for example, our budget for 20 college students per year is the same as sending one college kid in the United States to school. So it's one in the United States for, say, 40 grand or 50 grand. Here in Oaxaca, we can support 20 to 25 kids in college or university for that 50 grand. That's amazing. That's amazing. So that's really good math.
So there we go back to cost. Things are so much less expensive. Education here, much more affordable. However, as Drew said, there are some people who just can't afford even the shoes or the uniform, which are some of the requirements, or the books, some of the requirements. So I hope that you will consider supporting this nonprofit with a donation. But let's go into now sort of like what it's like to live here in Oaxaca, and also some tips that Drew might have for you.
So of course, one's lifestyle is highly contingent on what you want to do, what your priorities and goals are, what your passions are, and what city you live in. So do you live in a coastal city or a provincial in the middle of the country? Your lifestyle is going to be affected a lot by the weather, as well as the kind of city that you live in. And are you going to be retired? I didn't come here to retire, and I have not been retired. So my lifestyle is distinctly different than many people who come here with a pension or to retire immediately. A lot of the retirees were more similar to my mom's demographic or my parents. And so I didn't quite fit into that age group. So if you're coming here, consider that your age group is going to figure into your lifestyle. Where do you want to live? If you're going to be single and kind of younger, do you want to live far away from the city or in the city? I chose to live in the burbs because that's where I could afford land and to build a house very economically, but it's 40 minutes away. If I wanted to live in the city, my lifestyle would be very, very different, but I couldn't afford to build a house here. So it kind of depends on what you're bringing to the table and what you want. So my lifestyle in the countryside is very, very simple. It's a rural lifestyle, which I wasn't accustomed to because I'm a city person. However, if you have a car, you can access the city pretty easily. So that's one thing I do highly recommend. If you're not going to be a homebody or an artistic oriented lifestyle for writing or painting and you're happy staying at home 6 days a week, you probably will want a car. The other thing that I think is a myth, or kind of to debunk some people's idea that if you go to another country, you'll be different and unique and sought after, or in a way it's true. I mean, my comparison is Japan. I've lived and worked in Japan. Culture here is a kind of similar. Ironically, there are shy people. When you get away from northern Mexico or central Mexico, here in the south, they're a little bit more conservative. They're a little shyer, and it takes them time to get to know you, and it takes time for them to feel comfortable around foreigners. Whereas if you're in Puebla or in coastal cities, they're very, very acclimated to dealing with foreigners. In this area, no. Very frequently, it's common to meet someone, a local, that basically has never talked to a foreigner in their life. They're quite often shy or sometimes scared. So for example, when I moved to a rural area, there were maybe 2 or 3 Americans in the entire county. So when I moved there as a single person and to build a house, my neighbors were very suspicious. They couldn't get their mind around why someone that they thought was affluent or wealthy and educated and successful, why would I move here alone without a family and live in the burbs? They were suspicious. Friendly and polite, but suspicious. It literally took them about 2 years to kind of warm up to me and invite me socially for some things. But that's part of what I want to kind of debunk, is that there are shy people. And so if people think you're going to move to another country and immediately be embraced or be welcomed into people's homes, maybe not so much. Of course, it depends on your personality and who they are as well. But in my rural area, where they're kind of homebodies at night and their life revolves around their family, their church, and their school, you don't rank. You don't really fit into that, especially if you have the language barrier. So you might have a language barrier, you might have a culture barrier, and it'll take them time to kind of get to know you. So even though I'm kind of extroverted, I have some command of Spanish, I have all of that going for me, but socially in my area where I think my neighbors like me and respect me, in 8 years now, in the same place, in 8 years, I've maybe been invited to 6 or 7 people's homes, 6 or 7 events, parties in people's homes in 8 years. That's not very much, but they're friendly, they respect me, they like me, they're my buds, you know. But again, opening their home and their lifestyle is a different issue when they have their own schedules. So I love them, and I feel comfortable. You know, if I needed something during an emergency, I'm going to my neighbors. It's okay. There's that level of trust and friendliness. But opening their lifestyle or inviting me to their local church or to every baptismal party or whatever, not so much. It's a really cool thing to have some Spanish when you come here. I had a very, very basic elementary level of Spanish that prohibited me from most business or creating new friendships. I didn't have the fluency. I could only ask, you know, where's the bathroom? Where's the beer? You know, one more beer, please. I couldn't leave the town here because I didn't have fluency. Now I have it enough. So your personality comes out. You can make friends, you can date, you can intermingle with other people at parties. So that's kind of the main thing I would say. And also, if you have a dream to live in another country, make your dream the central focus. 9 out of 10 people I knew thought me coming here was crazy. I'm now in my 9th year. I came here on a tourist visa, as I said. Almost no budget, no one supporting me, no salary, but I gained permanent residency and then I gained my citizenship. So I do not listen to negative people. So that's my bottom line. As a mentor or a friend, I would say, if there's negative people talking to you, forget them. Do I feel safe? Yes, safer than most of the neighborhoods I'm familiar with in San Diego, California, or where I lived in San Francisco, or when I'm in New York. I'm much more wary. When I'm in Mexico, I'm calmer, I feel safer. Average people here don't even carry guns. It's illegal. Guess what? I feel safe.
Yeah, I've talked about safety before, and especially as a foreigner, Mexico is a very safe place. If you use drugs, if you mess with cartels, if you're a politician, there are unsafe places in Mexico and unsafe things that you can do, but you can pretty much avoid those and it'll be very safe compared to the United States or even Canada. But I'm wondering, what is your dream? What is your dream? How are you going to get there? And what are you going to do about those people who are poo-pooing your dream? That's what I want you to talk about down in the comments. And I really love interacting with the comments. So if you have never left a comment before, now's the time to do it. And leave those comments, and I will see you in another video. Check out these videos up here. I've got some other videos from Oaxaca and other videos from other expats in Mexico. Hasta luego.